Awesome. All right. I'd like to call the meeting to order because I think everybody is here that certainly needs to be here. And acknowledge that this is a special meeting of the Select Board to hear to open a hearing about a complaint that was received about a dog running at large that had an incident with some livestock as well. So I want to start by acknowledging that this is a stressful situation, I'm sure, for all parties involved, and that we're neighbors here. And the Select Board has an obligation to hear the complaint and then hear testimony if folks are willing and able to give that and come up with some findings and deliberate on any potential actions. So as far as the flow of the meeting, and I'm actually a little grateful that it is a smaller crowd. I've been in these situations before where it's a little bit larger gathering and a little more unwieldy, but I really do want to try to keep comments focused on the facts of the situation, things that are going to be helpful for the Select Board in their consideration. And if I do kind of interrupt anywhere, it's really just to kind of keep things on track. I mean, no offense or to be sharp or anything. I just try to make it as calm a proceeding as possible. So we'll receive some relevant testimony. We may call on some staff members of the town just to get some points of clarification on where certain things stand. And then at that point, it wouldn't be unusual at all for us to go into deliberative session, which is kind of like executive order. We'd likely invite Kari or maybe another staff member into that deliberative session, but that's our opportunity to just kind of have conversation about what we heard, and then coming out of that, we may take action on any particular thing that the consensus that may have come out of that deliberative session, but that is generally done without the other parties in the room. So I'd likely offer up the opportunity for folks to you'll definitely either need to step outside or go home, and then we'll have a summary afterwards. Does that sound about right to everybody? So with that, I'll start with the complaint, which was filled out and submitted by Eileen Simpson, noting that the carrier's dog was off their property and running at large, and in the event, which led to an event on May 30th, that resulted in a lot of birds being killed by the dog, at which point Eileen tried to intercede to engage the animal and get it under control. But a number of chickens, almost 50 birds, were killed as a result of the dog being at large. And again, I didn't want to read the entire thing because we have a copy of it, but is that a fair summary, Eileen? So do any members of the Select Board have any specific questions about the complaint that was entered and submitted to the town?
So can we ask questions of Eileen directly?
Yes.
Okay. I guess my question, thank you for being here. I know it's difficult on the issue. My name is Barbara McAnder. I'm one of the staff members. I just was wanting to ask if you could speak to engagement with the dog when you got.
Yeah, and
Oh.
if anybody who gives testimony needs to be sworn in.
Oh,
I.
Thank you.
well, how do we do that?
I promise I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but.
Thank you very much. I think that works very well.
Okay. There are a couple of things. One, I know everybody's mentioned the expectation that it'll be stressful. I have gotten to know the carriers. They have gotten to know me. We've worked together on this. We don't want this to ever happen again. We all feel horrible about it. It was extremely upsetting. And if you're asking about my interaction with the dog, which you did, it was a combination of a bunch of events that had to all happen for the disaster to occur. And when I got home, Summer, the dog, was in my yard circling my little pond, and all my waterfowl were huddled together on it. I was able to get a hold of the collar. The dog did not react aggressively. I pulled the dog away from the little duck pond that I have on my property, and I grabbed hold of the collar on both sides. Now, I was not thinking straight. And I pushed my face into the dog while I yelled and made clear that what I thought of the dog. And, you know, I had bodies all over my yard and my barn. And the dog never was aggressive towards me. Winter just listened, and then my friend, I had a friend there, she took control of him. She's an expert on dogs, and she had control of Winter. She said Winter never responded aggressively to her. So in terms of the relationship with people, I never saw any indication there was a problem there.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying. Is the dog's name Winter or Summer? Winter? Winter.
They're friends.
Do any other select board members have any other questions for Eileen? Otherwise, I'll turn over to the carriers for some comments.
Well, I assume we're going to hear from either
Yes.
side about discussions they've had about ways to keep it from happening again, right?
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
when do you want to hear that?
Well, I'd like to just kind of get a few points of clarification. I mean, I think it sounds like both parties are on the same page about what unfolded, the impact of it. And it's encouraging to hear that that there's already been some collaboration to try to kind of rectify the situation. How long have you guys had Winter?
So we were coming up on 2 years ago, right?
It's been a year. She just turned 2, but we've had her for a year.
you want
Okay.
to do the swearing?
Oh, sorry.
I can go for it.
That sounds great.
I hereby solemnly swear that the evidence I give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, which sounds awfully similar to what Eileen already said, so anything along those lines.
I hereby swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I can remember all that.
Solemnly swear.
Yeah.
Just missed one word that I don't think that qualifies.
So we got Winter like a year ago. She was, you probably better at describing, like, I can describe what happened, like how to keep her in the house, but you would know more about.
Right, you should swear to.
I swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God. Take that.
That sounds good too. Thank you. And so can you describe a little bit about what you think led to the dog getting loose?
She has like extreme separation anxiety to the point where like we brought her to the vet. I did get the like for this meeting, I got like the vet's notes, an email. She freaks out, like she can't, she gets really, really freaked out. We gave her medicine.
Prescribed by the vet, that's her first day on medicine.
Dakota, you're saying specifically when she's left alone, she
Yeah,
freaks out?
it's known for huskies to have like extreme separation anxiety. She jumped straight like through a window, over the window. I have all the other like. The actual law. She jumped through a window, so to keep her from doing it again, we have a room that it's like our trash room, and I've like completely redone it. The window's only this big, and I know she can't jump through it, and I'm gonna put a 2x4. I bought the 2x4 today on the back side of it, so even if she did go through the glass, there wouldn't be enough room for her to get through it. And there's no other windows, there's a door, and I got the door padlocked, so there's no way for her to actually, because she knows how to open doors. So she can't open the door, she can't get through the window, and we're slowly, Eileen got us a dog crate, actually. She was nice enough to buy us a dog crate, which is pretty crazy. And so I really don't see a possible, like, we're slowly introducing her to it. Nobody's leaving because we just had our baby, so she's not gonna have to do it by herself. And your friend is helping teach us how to introduce her to the dog crate. Like, we have a chair out there and we go out and sit with her and kind of put her in it. She's already getting in it. She's already like, she thinks it's great. She's like, oh, what is this? This is my room.
I will say the day this happened, we took off in a hurry to get to the emergency room with the baby. So all of our measures for deadbolting, everything wasn't all on point. We were focused on getting to the ER as the doctor told us to do.
Yeah, that's definitely what happened that day. And that's part of the problem is that we didn't have this set room, like, just take her, put her in the room. It was like a series of things that had to be done, like this door had to be locked back. There's like 10 things that had to be done. So it wasn't a good situation, like it's like exactly what happened. If we're in a hurry to get somewhere, of course you're gonna forget something, like you forget the padlock there. Now it's just throw her in the crate, and she'd have to get out of the dog crate, and then she'd have it should be impossible. I mean, I don't see how she could get out. I understand how she got out last time, just with like us leaving in an emergency and not completely shutting down the whole house. But like our porch, it's a high up porch, but still on the shallow spot, she can jump. I have the whole house pretty well.
We did have Eileen and her dog expert friend over a few different times, and they watched what we did over the last.
We've been cooperating, and, as I said, we were all devastated by what happened. And, we decided to respond with kindness to each other. And that, I just think that is the best way to go. Winter, I mean, I got to see Winter again, and she looks so happy in her crate. She goes trotting in there, and her bed's in there, and she looks very content. Now, they're home. What happens when they leave is another question, but she's got a location that now she can make her own. And the other thing is, I want to be real clear, I do not want to see anybody fined. They have extenuating circumstances for what happened. My extenuating circumstances for how my dog wound up becoming best friends with their dog is that my internet and as anybody here who has tried to reach me in the last 3 weeks, my Wi-Fi is down, my internet is down, and something else is down. My telephone service doesn't work, and Comcast doesn't care. So I'm changing providers, but there's a 2-week gap. And in the meantime, my virtual fence doesn't work. So I understand dogs, and I am a dog person. I think remediation is the way to go. But nobody has money for a fine, and it would be, you know, it would take from. It would take from, the family and what they're doing to control the dog.
Thank you. So, are there any other questions from the select board, for the parties involved? Otherwise, I have some other clarifying questions for the staff.
I have a couple of questions. One is just confirming when the dog is out with you, walking or in the yard or whatnot, is it always on leash or tied up?
Yes.
Yes.
And if there have been other incidences where it, you know, dogs jump out of the car and run to the house or whatnot, does it typically stay right with you or does it run
She's
off?
not, she's not going loose.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, did you say she hasn't gotten loose before?
Not to, like, she's been loose in our yard, but she comes right back with the porch, so she's never left the house.
Is the dog, currently registered and up to date on its rabies shots?
3 years, I think.
Dog can't be registered unless it's up to date on rabies.
Okay, and do we, Barbara?
Oh, no.
But it's, the vet, everything vet. Or
I have a copy of her medical records on my phone,
Wait.
if you guys want to see her.
Okay, are you aware of the registration process for the town? Dogs need to be registered with the town. You do it at the town office, yeah, and there's a pretty modest registration fee, but yeah.
So, I swear to tell the truth.
Thank you.
So I'm Barbara Butler, the Assistant Town Clerk, and I'm also the Volunteer Coordinator for the Welcome to Calais program. And it was in that capacity that I visited this family last September when Corinne contacted Welcome to Calais, and I went and I did a welcome visit. And at that time, I saw the dog running up and down from window to window, barking. And so I told her that she needed to get the dog registered with the town. I gave her a government services brochure, and in the brochure, it tells you how to register your dog. I also gave her a town report, which also has information on how to register the dog. And then in this past February, I emailed her when the deadline was coming up to register dogs. I emailed Corinne to tell her again that the dog needed to be registered and got no response.
Well, so I will say that, I'm sure you emailed the photography email, I haven't gotten, it's full, and I don't know how to empty it, but since December, I haven't gotten any emails in that one, so I would have to give you a new email, but.
Register the dog, like.
Can she be registered, like, so at that time, she's still registered where I came from, I moved from New York, can she be registered in 2 places?
Yeah, it's not like voter registration. The dog just, we have a registration process and requirement for any dogs that reside in Calais, which is largely the town's way of ensuring that any dogs that reside in Calais have also received rabies shots. So it's a public health measure. So knowing.
Stay here in Vermont, so we were doing the back and forth, like I spent the night with them, but she lived in New York. So
Okay.
I'm fully here now.
Welcome. Barbara, can you remind me what the registration fee is?
It's winter spayed or neutered or the tag. Okay, so for spayed neuter dog, it is $11. It requires having a current rabies certificate. We need a copy of the current rabies certificate. There's also a $4 late fee because the deadline was last April to register dogs, so it would be $15 total. Plus, if you go by the dog ordinance, you can assess the $100 fine because they didn't register the dog. They have not been sent that ordinance this time because they were not on our dog file.
Right.
So they wouldn't have gotten out the reminders and so forth that others have.
They did not, Corinne got an email from me and, or at least, let me reiterate, I sent an email to Corinne, maybe she didn't get it, in March to remind her about the dog registration. But because they didn't have a dog registered last year.
Right.
They're not in the cycle to get all those
Thank you.
automatic reminders.
Thank you, Barbara, for that clarification. Our animal control officer, Buffy, is on Zoom. And Buffy, could I ask that you swear to tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth? And and answer a couple of questions related to the incident. Have you had any contact with Ms. Simpson or the carriers?
I have talked with Eileen. We talked that night.
Okay, and you haven't issued any citations or warnings for a violation at this point, have you?
No, I have not. She made it very clear that that was one of the things that she asked that we didn't, and that she was working with them to kind of handle the situation on her own to feel better about it, working with the community, working with her neighbors.
So I guess before I entertain a motion to go into deliberative session.
I did have.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Go ahead.
Did you have any more questions?
Nope.
Okay. I just wanted to go back to the part about training Winter to the crate and getting her used to that and all that. Do you have an arrangement with your friend to keep doing that and keep working with Winter? And I mean, from my experience, it's kind of a long-term process to
Yeah.
make the dog comfortable in a crate and then comfortable being by themselves for, longer periods of time and all that. So, yeah, just wondering whether you've talked about it.
She did, she's come over the past 2 days in a row and she's gone through all the steps with me and she literally helped me set the room up. I'm hoping that I'm gonna do some work for you to help out. Like, I think she has work for me to do, like not paid work, but just I wanna help you out. But yeah, she's gone like 2 days in a row, she's gone over and told me what I need to do, like I have everything set up, the exact way she showed me. She came over this evening before we came here and looked at it and she's like, yeah, this is really good, like. So I know, I don't necessarily need her as much at this point. I'm sure she'll come at some point and check, but.
I made some chips and they were at our house for the first day or two, so Winter did get acclimated with baby. I don't know if she'll know that it's a baby, and she was fine with that too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They've been, it's been awful and yet heartwarming at the same time. What am I trying to say? I currently have 16 baby little chicks in my bathroom.
Oh my goodness.
It's not a good thing. I think follow-up,
Yeah.
as you're saying, is important. And my friend feels whose name is Candace. And I think she's okay with me saying her full name, Candace Smith. She works a lot with rescues. She knows a lot about dogs. I know there was a concern about, if a dog kills chickens, will it attack a child? She felt that was very unlikely. She won't say it's impossible, nobody will, but that is very unlikely. And that the dog is more likely to be protective of the baby. She has been, I was with her just before the hearing over at their place, and she was explaining what what needs to happen to acclimate and if there can be follow-up, because I can't go through this again.
Right.
That was so devastating. So. Yeah, I think that's a really good question.
So she is a dog trainer or just?
She's not a trainer, she's extremely.
Knowledgeable.
Yeah, she's very knowledgeable, she works a lot with rescues. And she works a lot with, she's got a house full of rescue dogs. But she works a lot with rescues and, she knows about acclimating, freight training. And how to make the dog more comfortable, and I think the little boy is pretty good with that, and, he sits there and he gives her treats, and I saw her in the crate. She was chill. It was sad.
Well, yeah.
So, did I hear you guys say, excuse me, what did you say that the dog's on medication now? Is that what I heard?
When we leave, they did prescribe, because we've explained this.
Yeah.
And she had that visit specifically to address her anxiety.
Mhm.
Because it's sad for us too. She really thinks we're not coming back every time we leave because
Right.
of her first year of life. But they prescribed trazodone and gabapentin, and that day was the first day we had dosed her
Mhm.
on that mix.
Mhm.
So I certainly didn't think she would come out of that but yeah, so not every day, but when we leave, we can dose her an hour and a half to 2 hours before we leave.
Mhm. And have you done that again since
No, we haven't.
this happened? Yeah.
I've been home with the baby, honestly. but
Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Like right now, the dog is with my husband.
There's usually somebody at the house, very rare that, because we live next to my parents, and then in the summer, our family's out, like, there's always people.
Families and other dogs.
That was also our first time leaving since we had the baby, so we had been home for like 3-4 weeks with her straight, and then we took the baby and left everybody. And I think that's from her first year of life, who we rescued her from. They worked 16-hour days and she was in a crate all day, every day. And then they'd get back and they didn't really pay attention to her. She was abused a little bit, and I just think a lot of it's trauma response, and we haven't had her long enough for her to know, we're not gonna do the same thing, we're not gonna leave you and not come back.
Does anybody else have any other questions? And then if not, I'd like to kind of offer up some clarifications. So in review of the dog ordinance, there's a couple of things to consider. The first, and I think primary issue is the consideration of a violation of the dog ordinance for the dog being at large and not under the owner's control. And in those considerations, a first offense violation relative to the dog ordinance comes with a $50 full penalty or a $25 waiver penalty. And to clarify, a waiver penalty is a penalty that I guess the recipient of the penalty would agree to pay without contest. So the vicious dog element of the ordinance is really only defined by the biting of a person. So I just wanted to note that.
Right, so we're looking at the potentially vicious type of dog and can still talk about the same level of, most of the same remedies as under the vicious.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something that we could consider. So with that, I'd like to entertain, Sorry.
You were ready to ask Buffy some questions a few minutes ago, but.
Oh.
Christie,
Not other than whether or not she's had contact with the parties involved. I just wanted to clarify what her level of engagement has been so far. But that was satisfactory for me at this time. Buffy, thank you.
You're welcome.
And again, if going into deliberative session, folks are welcome to stay, though we'd have to ask everyone to leave, go outside, and then come back in when we're done. I can't imagine that it's going to be a terribly long conversation, but at the same time, I don't want to hold anybody up. Yep.
Can I go upstairs if they want to go outside?
I believe so.
The door shuts. You're not gonna hear what's going on.
Okay, sure.
You guys are just gonna make a decision and then let us know.
Yeah, during deliberative session, we get, gives us opportunity to kind of coalesce around what we feel are kind of the facts, establish specific findings relative to the testimony that we've heard. And coalesce around whether or not there are going to be specific actions taken afterwards. And that would be done immediately following deliberative session.
So some of what you're trying to find out, I'm just unclear. I mean, I get the dog being gone and horrifying 35 plus chickens. Is if the dog is vicious? Or what is that?
We don't have to determine whether the dog is vicious. It's just that the ordinance
Okay.
lays out specific things for if a dog is vicious. Your dog, the winter doesn't fall under the definition of vicious
Okay.
in our ordinance because.
Cause I used to have chickens and I've had 2 neighbors' dogs kill the chickens.
Yeah.
We didn't do this, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
different, I mean, obviously it was different. We weren't farmers. They were chickens that fed my family eggs. So on 2 different occasions, one was, you know, one type of dog and one was more like a beagle dog that killed their chickens. And another time it was more like a husky German shepherd. But they both felt horrible. Bought my kids a book about chickens. Like, but there was just,
Yeah.
you know, they were walking by our house where our chickens were at the time and. Yeah,
Dogs are dogs.
yeah,
Just have dogs that are, a dog is vicious if it has injured a human and the human has to go to get medical. Okay.
yeah, cause
As it's defined in our ordinance,
thank
yeah.
you. That's all, when I heard that, that's just like, you know, yeah, no, I.
The challenge is that it's, yeah.
Dog, but it's like. I don't want a dog to kill chickens. There's rabbit dogs.
Right.
I won't go into that, but
Yeah.
those are vicious.
Okay. Thank you. And thanks everyone for kind of keeping cool heads and for the participation that everybody's taken in working together. I'd like to invite a motion to go into deliberative session to consider the testimony and invite Kari into
Buffy.
Would anybody like to invite Buffy in? We can. You would? Sure.
I
Okay.
think so.
And Buffy, if you could hang on, it might be a little tricky with Zoom, but we'll try to make that work.
Not a problem.
I'll give everyone, I will need a motion. Can somebody? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No.